know if I can sit here. Maybe, maybe not.
There you go, sit.
No, this will work, as long as I have support. Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Brian, and I own a business called For Goodness Snakes. I'm actually a snake breeder, or some people think of me as a farmer. And it might be easier for you guys if you think of me as a snake farmer. I actually have about 250 snakes at home, and I breed and sell ball pythons and boa constrictors. And I'll give you guys a little bit of history about myself. I grew up in Campbell, which is in the San Jose area, and all of my life I've been into animals of all different types. So growing up, not only did I have your normal dogs and cats as pets, in fact dogs are by far my favorite animal. I have 2 golden retrievers at home, and they're great. But growing up, I had a unique fascination for a lot of different types of animals. So growing up, I had a raccoon as a pet, I had a squirrel, I had a possum, I had a great horned owl, I had a red-tailed hawk, I had lots of snakes, lizards, frogs, toads, salamanders, turtles, tortoises, I had pigeons, I had doves, I had a ferret, lots and lots of different types of animals. So when I graduated from high school, I started working at an animal hospital, and lucky for me, I worked for a veterinarian that specialized in exotic animals. So not only did I get to work with dogs and cats at the animal hospital, but I also got to work with animals such as mountain lions. I've worked with cheetahs, African lions, I've worked with wolves, chimpanzees, anteaters, lots of reptiles, lots of birds of prey. And then about 25 years ago, I started the business called For Goodness Snakes. And at that time, I was breeding and selling colubrids, which are the king snakes, milk snakes, and corn snakes. And I did that for about 10 or 12 years. I produced about 300 snakes per year. And,
turn it off.
oh, that's going to be great. And was in the process of selling out that collection when I saw a photograph of a snake that looked like this. And until then, I had never seen a snake that looked like this. And at that time, they were actually selling for $25,000 each. Wow. So I took the money that I had gained from selling out my colubrid collection and then reinvested into ball pythons and boas. And that's basically what I breed and sell today. This year, I produced about 150 baby snakes, and I'll be sending them and shipping them all over the country to sell them to people like me. About the same time I got into ball pythons and boas, I started doing educational programs for children at schools and birthday parties. And that's basically what I do now for a living. I breed and sell snakes, and I do educational programs like this with reptiles. So before I actually begin the program, are there any questions that anybody would have?
Can I buy that one?
Sure. Did you bring a big check? Yeah, some of the animals that I have with me today and the animals that I have at home are worth thousands of dollars and even into the $10,000 and $20,000 per animal.
Albino.
Actually, this is not an albino. I'll be explaining them all to you in just a minute, but I do have albinos at home. I hatched out 5 of them this year. Okay, so we're here to celebrate Eddie's, how old is he going to be? 7?
21.
Yeah.
21.
And I will tell you guys that in my opinion, snakes are probably the most misunderstood animals on the planet. A lot of people think that snakes are slimy. They're actually one of the driest animals on the planet. They're so dry that their eyes are even dry. A lot of people think that snakes are aggressive, which means they're mean. They're actually one of the most gentle animals on the planet. I've probably produced, handled, and or caught probably around 10,000 snakes in my life. I've never been attacked by a snake. I know people all over the country that do what I do, and I've never met a person that's ever been attacked by a snake. Do you have a question, Matt?
When you said dry, it looked like a desert snake.
A desert snake? Actually, these are ball pythons, these snakes, and they come from West Africa. So they're kind of in the jungles of West Africa, but it's hot there, that's for sure. Okay, so again, I want to also mention that these animals, none of these animals have ever bitten anyone, and none of these animals have ever opened their cages. No, just kidding. And I should also mention that these animals have been handled by over 100,000 people, and we've never had a single issue. Again, they're probably the most misunderstood animal on the planet. And the reason I'm mentioning all this is because at the end of the program, I'm actually going to be letting all of these animals go. and you guys are going to be able to touch and hold all of the animals that I've brought today. So real quickly, let me introduce my friends to you guys. This snake's name is Smiley. The reason why I call her Smiley is because she actually has a smiley face on her body. Right? You guys see the smiley face on her? So she's what we call a, and you'll have plenty of chances for pictures, because remember, I'm going to be letting them all go in just a few minutes. So she's what we call a piebald ball python, and in my opinion, this is probably one of the most beautiful snakes on the planet. They are what we call a naturally occurring morph. You can find them in West Africa looking just like this. Nature has done some strange things with ball pythons. This snake is one of the reasons why it's so rare is because it would never survive in the wild. They just don't survive because the predator animals can find them real quick and gobble them up. And this snake's name, so this is Smiley. She's a piebald ball python. We just call her Pied. And then this is Bob. Bob is what we call a Mojave ball python. And again, all of these snakes are ball pythons, and all of them come from West Africa. This is Whitey. A lot of people think that Whitey is an albino. I heard that a couple times when I was getting her out. I hear it all the time. But if you guys look at her eyes are not pink or red. They're actually blue. Albinos have pink or red eyes, and the reason why their eyes are pink or red is because there's no melanin or pigment in their skin, and you can actually see the blood behind this or in the snake's eyes, or any of the albino's eyes, whether it's a person, dog, cat, mouse, or rat. So this is what we call a blue-eyed leucistic ball python. Another interesting thing, sister. If you breed two of these together, it's called a codominant gene trait. 1 out of 4 of their babies come out looking just like this. And then this is Ezra. Ezra's a blue-tongued skink. He comes from Australia. We're going to have some fun with him in just a minute. And then this is Beauty. Beauty is a normal ball python, and she's the type of ball python you find in most of your local pet shops.